Everyone, this is Nikki, and you are watching the Awesome10X Philippine Market Update. It's December 15, 2021. Sampung araw na lang, Christmas na po. So let's take a look at the Philippine market, which is ongoing. And you can see here that the charts are showing PSEI is now trading down 2% in the index, 7,103.49. So you could see that the Philippines is now confirming the first two cases of Omicron variant from two travelers who are currently isolated in a facility under the Bureau of Quarantine. This comes 24 hours after the DOH said that all regions are now under minimal COVID-19 risk. You'll notice that 24 hours ago, the Department of Health, YED, said that there's less cases in the Philippines, uh, placing us actually to minimal risk. Officials even said that the cases could go down from the current 5,953 by year end to about 1,766 by January 31. So you're seeing actually that initially the market was hopeful that the Philippines is less risk and is actually getting better. And it actually rallied 7,263 at the highs. With the news of Omicron, we tanked very heavily now, about 100 points. Actually, we were seeing phenomenal rate increase of spreading of this Omicron variant from UK. So I'll read to you the news no of Boris Johnson. This is not to make you panic or to get you very scared, no, but just reporting the news. There is this is his actual term. A few days ago, the phenomenal Omicron spread is now accounting for 40% of London. And they reported the very first death with the Omicron coronavirus variant. Let me just read to you these news. Phenomenal Omicron spreading account for 40% of London infections detected on November 27 in UK. Prime Minister Boris Johnson imposed tougher restrictions and said that a tidal wave of Omicron was coming. So there are total 2 Omicron patients detected so far, and they also have a fresh COVID-19 case of 218. What we are seeing here, guys, is something that's affecting the world. In fact, the last few days ago, we saw that Airbnb tried to relief rally and then got thrown down and rejected. We were actually advising most of our clients to short Airbnb when it rallied 182 here. So 188, 185, 182. And so far, you'll see that this reopening travel news is actually getting faded away by the market, even after the good, pleasant numbers of Airbnb, simply because of these Omicron fears. Notwithstanding that, of course, the market still believes that Omicron is not as fatal as perceived, but you could see the high valuations of Airbnb is also a cause of concern with the impending interest rate hikes of the Fed, which is looking very much likely on the 6.8% CPI inflation and all the data coming out. So you've got more Fed retail sales data this week. So you could see here, guys, the very bearish outlook in most US companies. It's now getting translated in the Philippines as well. Notice in the Philippines, your market value right now is 8.5 billion with a lot of decliners. Let's go through your biggest losers no, in the index first. So the strength in the index right now, the only ones that are left hanging by PLDT 1731 outperformance. Obviously, you can ask me why. It's really about the stability of income. Cash dividends is something stable, and wherever you are in the world, whether it's Philippines or the world, as in global US, we're talking about cash dividends as a safe haven. The Philippines, what I could think of as a cash dividend safe haven would naturally be your PLDT, your Globe, and your Meralco. Those are the go-tos. That's why even if your Meralco is falling down, we can read that Meralco is like slightly down. It's just like 297.6, still near the highs. And your Globe is about 33, still near the highs. So this is still very strong. We can see the resilience of these dividend players. Let's read through then the actual prices, guys. PLDT 1730, JG Summit 55, MPI 3.88, San Miguel is 112, Security Bank is 115, GT Capital is 561, Aboitiz Power 30 bucks. Robinson's Retail 65, Meralco 298, Bloomberry nearing 7, 6.8. Pure Gold 36.75, BDO 126.5, URC 126.2, Robinson Land 17.9, Lushotan Group 9.5, Megaworld 305, Converge 30.8, Jollibee 224.2, AGI 1154, ICT 193.5, Wilcon 30.7, Asen 10 bucks, Globe 33, Metrobank 50, Ayala Land 35.5, Ayala Corp is 860, BPI is 92, AEV is 55.8, SM 950, SM Prime 34. Um, After seeing that index movers, no, I'll tell you that there is more downside to be had. This drop of about 2% isn't just related to the Omicron, although that is really the big news out there. That's the big headline. The biggest news that you also have to understand is that number one, of course, with Omicron, there's that fear that we might have to do lockdowns, which is gonna really impede the economic progress or the recovery of most businesses in the Philippines, no? So add to that the valuation concerns. I'd say that among the Philippines, your cyclical companies, which is still Ayala Corp, Ayala Land, SM, SMPH, these are heavily relying on the banks and the real estate to grow. So with that said, let's just talk about the banks. We've seen this huge hacking incident in the BDO. Let's just read through this. Nearly 700 hacked BDO clients just to get their money back. So you know that BDO has gotten a hacking incident wherein these fraudulent transactions actually went through a Union Bank account with a name called Mark Nagoyo. So it says here that it could be an inside job. BDO is still uncertain how the BDO hackers were able to get that info, and they're still investigating it. So I would say that in general, of course, the trust amongst the banks are very minimal, and it does affect, in my view, a chance for you to actually exit some positions. I understand that you might say, oh, I wouldn't actually transfer out of BDO to any other bank, but there might be cause of concern of potential penalty clauses or just general mistrust on the premiums assigned to BDO with this cybersecurity incident, sa hacking incident. So either they have to beef up their cybersecurity forces to prevent any of these occurring in the future, whether it's BDO's fault or whether it's Union Bank's fault. Both of them can be penalized by Bangko Sentral itself for failure to protect the client's hard-earned money. So I'd say that Union Bank now trading at 102 is actually potentially a profit-taking zone. Be careful a little, like it could have some pullbacks or corrections. While it's still trading at lofty 100 plus levels, it's up like how much for the year? From about 50 area to about 100 or 100% up. We might see some pullbacks back to about 93 or even 90 below. I'd suggest Union Bank or BDO just for safety concerns. You do want to be trimming. Take a look as well on some banks. Okay, BPI is trading at 92. It didn't actually materially outperform. BPI is actually still in a 5-year mean, 90 bucks is just the mean for the last 5 years of BPI. BDO, let's just take a look at the 5 years. 5 years. BDO is also just at the mean. It's between 115 or 135, which is suggesting 125. It's already recovered from its deepest drops of about 75. There might be causes of concern. With the index actually getting pummeled down, be careful of SM. For the last 5 years, SM has also been just in a sleepy, dreary range of about 1,100 as a resistance and 900 just trying to stay there. But I would argue that these are actually trading at very high valuations. Now it's not gonna fall like 50%, unlike what happened here in the pandemic, 1,000 to about 500. It's not gonna do like that drop. But I would suggest that because of these variants and the general optimism of the market, which in my view is unfounded, simply because SM has a lot to fix. They've got a lot to fix, whether it's the BDO, whether it's the retail corner or the supermarkets. Um, or the consumer economy of the Philippines itself. Take note that SM is simply a proxy of the Philippine economy itself. If you think that the GDP of the Philippines isn't really going to be glamorous for next year, it wouldn't make sense for you to be such a huge long-term bull on SM. Being a bull on SM is like you saying that you're very bullish in the Philippines. Now, you could be debating that, of course, we would recover next year simply because we've got the vaccines, simply because the offices are going to go back. It's like life trying to be normal. So there will always be that constant debate, and I would argue that it just pays safe to be also on the cautious side. Simply because SM is trading at 950, we are aware of competition. You know that SM competes with all the Instagram sellers, all the Shopee sellers, all the Lazada sellers. You have more competition, even including Grab Pay, for many types of their businesses, not just the retail front, but also in the fintech front, i.e. their BDO. So with BDO and SM all trading at premiums versus the other competition, be careful about the premiums assigned today on SM. If SM falls, that means your PSEI at 7,000 is gonna break down. Your 950 here can just easily go 900 and 800 again, and that's like 20% decline, which really will make your PSEI hit 6.5. That also goes not just with SM, guys. This is not against SM. This is against the entire Philippine conglomerates. Ayala Corp trading at 850. These are all proxies of the Philippine economy. I'd say that a bearish market next year is bound to happen. And so a bearish market with an interest rate hike by the Fed means that your interest rate go up, your stock valuations go down, because these are all related to the Fed funds rate. What does it mean? If you increase your interest rates, 100 divided by, let's say, 2 is 50. 100 divided by 3 is 33. So the higher the interest rates going forward, your valuations would actually also get pummeled down. That goes for the entire stock market, not just the US, but also the Philippine stock market. So this index is actually prone to a sell-off with or without Omicron variant. It's simply the Fed funds rate. That is really a huge barometer that Bangko Sentral will also be forced, because unless they raise the rates for the Philippine markets, the dollars will, all the money goes to the dollar, and it's gonna be hindering the inflow of the Philippine investments. So definitely there is cause for many central banks around the world to increase their rates, albeit slow. It's not naman gonna be too hard. It's not like too fast, no? But be aware of those trends. Okay, large losers right now, AEV, AGI, Wilcon. Now, we argue that, yeah, Aboitiz Power and AEV have done very well, energy as a sector. But with the problems right now happening, we are going to see some profit taking within this year. So AP trades about 30 bucks. 30 might actually just stay there. I don't see it falling aggressively. But AEV trading at resistance 55. All I'm saying is that you want to be about 50-50 about your positions. Aboitiz Equity Ventures today, you're seeing a sell-off here from about 57 to 55. This is profit taking in my view. Maybe people would buy it back at 47 or 48, but these rallies are open to some selling offs. I would actually be careful on AC. Ayala Corp here about 855. Looks like this stopped at about 900. Looks like we can retest 800 pretty soon. Pretty soon meaning next year. And the only thing that is the bright spot in my view, the only bright spots that you could see are the utility firms. So yes, this is gonna stay, I think, resilient, meaning if PLDT fell, this would be safe. Globe, if it fell, it would, in my view, be considered safe simply because of the cash divs. Same for Meralco. So you'll notice even your Manila Water might actually stay safe. I'm not quite sure. Manila Water, I think, still yields 3% divs. But during a bearish time frame, the market will just consider their cash as good as yield play. So cash in the yield play means that they're gonna just stay in the utilities and the telecoms. Okay, so let's read through some of the high beta bets of the market. The high beta bets that you should be concerned about is obviously Cebu Pacific. So Cebu Pacific looks to be a lower high, and this is actually a seller's paradise. 47 is the high of Seb. I believe this 50 was the high in the short term, 51. Then 47. Be careful because we could retest 45 or 42. Obviously, there will be a lot of buyers below 40. So I'm not quite sure if you can even go below 40. Either way, all these noise would suggest a trading range for your Seb. There will be noise happening in the market. Therefore, even the likes of Petron is falling. So Petron has fallen a lot. Wait. Okay, that said, if it's going, if it's already $3, I have a hard time believing it's gonna go two. No, it's not like a huge downside if it's already at three. So wait. Let me just reload. Just go through some charts. So Petron for the last 6 months tried to recover to about 3.4 4 bucks and now trading at about 3. It's already at support, so probably nothing much to say here. Most of the IPOs in the Philippines also had a pretty downward move, whether it be Keeper, whether it be All Day. So all of them has been most of the IPOs really were negative for Christmas sentiment wise. So that means people cut all their positions. They cut losses on it. We'll see where it's bottoming out. The hard thing when an IPO breaks down is that true enough, you don't know the bottom. It could be 50% lower, 80% lower, 75% lower. So as long as Keeper is still below like all the, it's still trading at lower highs, there will be no support, no? Obviously, Chartist will not give a support because they don't know it. Like it could fall 50% for all you know, diba? Either way, sometimes the recovery happens on earnings, which is going to be 3 months away. So it's very hard to make a judgment until the earnings come into play. So Keeper failed IPO. Medic, we know how bad this went. From the first day all the way to today, still new lows. We don't see any support anytime soon for this. You're seeing All Day fall through all throughout. After the first day move, it's just been a continuous drop. And right now, All Day is also trading below IPO. So as I said, once a stock trades below IPO, there is no scene support. So markets just really falling down. We're seeing an entire sell-off, including stocks like Reopening. Jollibee falling to 40, to 50, right? The answer here, guys, is stay safe. Stay safe. That safety net is cash. Safety net is cash. Safety net is if you're still holding some dividend players, maybe that is safe. I'd say that people are parking here. They're gonna park in a PLDT. They're gonna try to buy those on dips. They're probably gonna park in a Globe if it dips near 3,000. Yeah, and I will also argue, even if pure gold is falling, usually, and this is just through my own experience, consumer staples like a supermarket is considered a stable yield when the market is getting tough. So if pure gold actually drops all the way to about 33 or 34, you might actually want to buy this as I don't think this is a knife. So pure gold might actually be a support play here. And yeah. But so far, the index is showing the negative moves naman. Primarily, I think you'll get the big culprit of a downturn on the index, specifically your SM and AC. Those have leeway to fall. And even your banks and your properties. So your Ayala land, it's now trading at 35, 38, 36. No? So it was unable to break through the 38 area, right? So we saw say it's really just a trading range for your alley. So these are cyclical companies, right? Ayala Land, your SM Prime, still a hard time. So nothing bullish in the Philippine market. I'm just gonna read to you this news. Says here that PNB could even be a next target of hack. Warning of a new scam using the government website. What's this? Hackers, after stealing money of several BDO Unibank, warning PNB depositors against clicking links in their email that supposedly come from the bank. Nakagawa ng scammers ng website ng PNB, pinasok na nila ang isang municipality, gumawa ng folder doon at ginawang fake na PNB login page. Samaniego said hackers even found a way to make a fake PNB website look believable using a local government website with the gov.ph domain name. So ang gagawin mo, don't click it pag na-receive mo sa email. So we're getting a lot of cybersecurity breaches. That's gonna be a hard thing for most of the financial banks today if ever mapasukan ng hacking. So in that light, now I know some banks haven't really, but people are already getting scared. You'll notice PNB never recovered 19 bucks. Hindi pa naman siya nahahack, but people are already getting scared, no? So I think like as a warning lang for most people, change your passwords. I don't know what else Usually, change password ASAP and be careful na lang with your cash no in the banks kasi nga there's a lot of cyber security breaches in right now. Yun lang talaga. It's kind of scary. Okay, let's take a look. Okay. Si Carl Chua, the acting secretary of NEDA, is it right to not count the mild cases instead of every positive case? Okay, I really don't know what's the right way to count mild case, positive case, because in the first place, if you are the NEDA secretary, which Carl Chua is, no, you want to promote positivity for business owners as well as the consumers, because his first task is really to help the GDP, the Philippine economy. So to be honest, it's hoping that hopefully people who have some COVID-19, they will recover, that it's a mild case. So for the sanity of people, I don't think that the cases are accurately being counted. Perhaps not all positive cases are being counted if it's mild. And siguro, if you receive any data from the government, you're also skeptical. Is it really just 1,000 cases, 500 cases? End of the day, it still is gonna be up to you. Kasi I don't, they really are in a tough, they're in like a predicament, right? 50-50 ka lang din when you receive data. You get information and then you know that the government has a duty, which is try to help the economy reopen without too much spreading of the cases. So yun. Why is SGP falling pala, considering a power grid in a safe dividend play? Let's see. SGP, actually Synergy Grid is 13. Pwede nga siya. We'll see. Perhaps sometimes kasi, the market believes in safety. SGP hasn't been listed in the market for a long time. Most of the dividend investors, they want a dividend history. Hindi pa sila nababayaran ng SGP for the first dividends. So natatakot sila na baka hindi nila matanggap yung dividends. That's why I don't think it's getting shielded, unlike the Meralco or I'm not sure kung Manila Water, baka mas shield rin yun. Kasi utilities in general, utilities and telcos, yan ang shield or cash dividend play ng Philippine market. All HC, totoo na ba? Ako in general, I'm scared of cyclical companies, including real estate, even if leasing warehouse pa yung business niya. So even if All HC is trading at about 6 pesos, I will be more cautious. Baka profit-taking zone or okay lang sa akin to miss out. Thoughts on the Omicron sell-off scare today? As I said in the first part, the Philippines is really in a tightrope. Sa US at saka sa UK, nag-spread. Kaya we have to be cautious rather than complacent. Sabi naman ng news, hindi naman daw nakakamatay. I don't know if people will really believe na hindi na makakamatay after the news na may 1 case death na sa UK. And then, hindi pa natin nabibilang. I mean, I don't want to predict the death toll, but to be safe, I'm scared of reopening. So, it's very important to be cautious rather than risk on. Thank you for liking the stream. Thank you. How about frutas? Sadly, alam mo, retail talaga think about yourself, no? If your business relies too much on mobility and foot traffic, which I believe frutas is, it's very hard. end of the day, you go to the food court, that's how you go frutas. Or you go to the office, may nakita kang frutas. Or you go to the mall, may nakita kang frutas, the Jamaican patty pie, right? So I love the business in general, but I wouldn't fault the company if they have a difficulty. Because how many of us actually go to the mall? Very few rin eh. I know there is a recovery. I'm not somebody who's always staying at home then. Yes, I did go out sometimes, go to the restaurants. But at the same time, it's not as frequent. So consider it still a difficult time for frutas. It's gonna take time. Hindi yan frutas per se na company specific problem. It's a macro problem, right? Yes, nasa-stress na yan malamang si Sir Carl. Kasi if you've got you are the NEDA chief, you have to listen to all the livelihoods of people. Like if I'm a driver, let's say I'm a taxi driver. Syempre, I'm happy that na level 2 na. At least nakaka-commute na yung mga tao, di ba? Hanap buhay nila yan eh. So, ako I'll be saying this. No matter if there are an abundance of spreading of Omicron in other parts of the country, I also wish and hope that the Philippines is cautious naman din not to just be complacent. So, it's not up to the government. It's not up to the government to just tell all the shops magsarado kayo, level 3 ulit, 'di ba? Like a lot of people are getting wed already, they're having banquets again, 'di ba? So I think that hopefully the vaccines are peaking and it should be enough. Hopefully the Moderna boosters, 'di ba? So it's all hope, guys. Of course, hope versus reality. Mahirap din to know. So the real estate industry, in my view, the consensus is still a cyclical thing. When you say cyclical, it means that a majority of the people are still doing remote work. They're staying at home, digitally transformed. Some of them, like in the US, the Great Resignation wave. Well, sa US kasi they can afford perhaps a Great Resignation wave. Here naman, we can't eh. I mean, we need our jobs, or at the very least, I would assume that unemployment is sky high here. We don't have rising wages. Wala tayong rising wage growth, unlike in the America. So my sense is that the difficulty of real estate is relying mostly on the economy, di ba? I mean, who's the biggest buyer of real estate? Consumers. If consumer spending is not at par, so lahat yan, it will all depend pa rin with the difficult task of the GDP. So, guys, if the GDP of the Philippines contracts next year or flat, you cannot expect real estate to say we're gonna grow. You cannot expect to say now we're gonna have our yield on these offices or these residential repairs and a growing economy. All those things are very dependent on one rule, that people have a job, that people have income, which is all reliant then on how fast each sector can rise. I'm really telling people Christmas is no Noche Buena for many people. So be careful. In fact, I would even argue, guys, if you've made some money on crypto, be aware that the money that you've made, place it in your cash na, either stable coins nyo na yan, i-Binance dollar or i-dollar tether nyo na yan. You've made enough. Maybe you're a hodler forever, but sayang din. Take some in the bank. Actually, take some, whether it's GCash, lalagay nyo sa GCash nyo. I'd say diversify din, no? So let's say you've got a bank in Union Bank and you've got a bank in BDO, you've got a bank in BPI, di ba? Damihan mo na lang. Hopefully, hindi sila lahat ma-hack ng sabay-sabay. Yun. Our semicon stocks are no match for the US. I mean, in fairness to us, wag na natin ambisyonin. Mag-Nvidia at AMD ka na lang, or 'di ba? Wag mo nang ambisyonin. There are companies that can scale well when it comes to 5G and connected devices. Qualcomm ka na lang. Now, it's obviously expensive for a reason. So, you might get a better chance. I don't know, maybe 10-20% cheaper entry or 15% cheaper entry. Go for the best. You don't go for the Philippine semicons. we're not gonna be at par. Tingnan mo na lang yung mga Qualcomm na device, no? Yung mga Qualcomm Snapdragon, if you're looking for a semicon. Okay, really hard times for Philippine market. I mean, I don't think I'm the only bear here. 7172, take cover as much as you can, and prepare for some cash. Anyway, actually, as BTS and hindi pala BTS, Blackpink, diba? They've got this song, "Let's Kill This Love." I think that is really a good thing to, if I'm ending a quote, I posted it on my Twitter. My Twitter is @FacesTrader. If this is your first time, yeah, this is what I view. After a crazy high, there's a price you have to pay. Shorts are really out there. They aren't gone. Rallies are still to be shorted. So the Philippine market, in my view, is not gonna go up. We rallied up. You should sell. If you don't, you might get yourself caught on the downturn. And if there are rallies that I believe will not be shorted, they are very few. What are these few names that could stand the test of time? Ask yourself how much cash flow they have. Kaya nga I'm thinking your PLDT is still gonna stay there, your Globe is gonna stay there, Pure Gold might stay there. So bumagsak na si Pure Gold, it's now 36. You can probably pick it up. Malay mo, makuha mo 35, 34. Those are the names that I think I could keep kasi alam ko babalik. And of course, just to say that obviously I believe in world leaders. The Philippine world leader is still hindi man tayo again sa mga SM and AC. We just want them down, like maybe 20% lower. Masyadong premium yung paid to them today versus the actual, maybe it's just my perception, but versus the actual economy. I would be very careful on SPNEC. More of I'll avoid because Philippines isn't really ready to subsidize a lot of industries. Wala tayong pera, guys. So I'm not sure how efficient solar in the Philippines will be. Okay, solar is a great thing. Renewable energy is a great thing. But you'll notice, China, US, they all subsidized. They subsidized it. It took a while. There's a little bit of a scale necessity. You need a lot talaga of electricity in the world. So, secular trend, yes. Concept stock, yes. But actual cash flows and actual earnings, it's a no. So if you are thinking that the market's gonna be bearish next year, you would avoid that IPO simply because concept stocks will never get bought. Not in this kind of market sentiment. Okay, that's it. Bye-bye.